start lying down, and I might just stay that way for the whole class. So start on your back in the very human experience of being supine. And it's a good idea when you begin to lay down is to really actively lengthen. So push the heels downstream a little bit and then relax in the hip joint and let the legs go. They will naturally turn out. You can also let the back of the cranium slide upstream. But do these things slowly, do these things deliberately, and with a sense of patience, embodied patience. And then as you settle in a little bit into this, what you might call a space of rest, let the exhalation be an invitation to cultivate more length. So what I'm inviting and describing is that can we, by conscious choice, exhale more globally, meaning more of your embodiment, more of your space, your inner and outer space. When you exhale, can you, without expectation, let go of all of your bones and just lay them down on the earth? And when you exhale, can you somehow miraculously and magically empty any tension in your blood and in the heart and pericardium, all of the vast vascular network? Could you, in a single exhale, release all of the skin and the air, the atmosphere just outside the skin? Could you exhale and empty the senses, relax and unfurl the senses as one? Which is interesting because if we have the choice, which we totally do through conscious embodiment, to relax the senses as they embody, you're more aware both inwardly and outwardly. Because before we can really receive the breath of life, before we can breathe in, we have to be a little bit more consciously thorough with our exhale. Now, I don't mean squeeze it out. Sometimes there's a need for that. But if you could just give more of a sense of patience to your exhale, so that right at the very end of the out breath, there's a little bit more tone, or you could even call it gravity in the low belly, below the navel. Something sweetly sinks below the navel towards the sacrum at the end of the exhalation. It's not so much control as it is the gravity of awareness itself. This is a really beautiful meditation, a mantra that you can play with throughout the day, driving your car, walking the trail, whatever it is you find yourself doing, is to just let the exhalation, the tail of the exhalation, be a calling, a return to this vital center. Maybe you know the lower dantian, maybe you know the hara, or just the core. It's a point of reference that becomes a space from point into space where the lower band of the belly, I sometimes lovingly call it the spiritual seatbelt, hugs a little bit towards the sacrum, but without contraction of space. What it does, and you may have noticed this already, is it sets up the inhalation to come more deeply into the back and sides of the body. So if the low belly has a small, smooth river stone resting upon it when you inhale and it stays close to the sacrum relatively, you'll find the breath wanting to soak and saturate the back and the sides of your embodiment. Perhaps even cultivating a sense of wingspan as you broaden more than you inflate. So imagine for a few more moments while we're here in the key or the human shape of supine, that you could spread the ground on which you lie with the inhalation, not by force, but by somehow loosening the fabric of the earth and letting it broaden to receive you on the inhale. And when you exhale, continue to allow that space to widen. And so we enter a portal. In yoga, we would call it centering. But in this mode, not by way of control, we're inviting that which we already know and we already have access to is some degree of entry, re-entry into our midline, our mid-space, our central axis and central channel. All right, so from here, we're going to remain on our backs and begin to move. So if you're on a mat, you may want to come off the mat because it's going to really inhibit a lot of your movement. The floor is clean. And so on the free space of the ground off your mat, how do you begin to move, right? So I'll give you a few ideas. Start to reach just one heel further forward than the other. Lengthen one side and then the other, and alternate, just pushing one foot and then the other, lengthening one side body and then the other. You might also creatively find that the arms kind of want to do the same thing. Now, the invitation is always, you're going to hear me say this many times just in this one class this morning, you want to go slower and stronger. Slower and stronger. So you're in the mud, the clay, and it's grabbing your body and you're pushing and pulling against clay. So lengthen the right side and then lengthen the left. So much so that you end up side bending a little bit, where the hips slide to one side or your upper body slides to one side and you're side bending. And can you tone your entire body like the wild cat that wants to wake up inside you? We are taught isolated practices, more separation. This is a practice of reunion. Intramuscular, intracellular. Use your whole, everything that you can feel. And also remember, everyone, this is not a practice of stretching. Of course, you're lengthening, but you need to tone the stretch. So where you feel a stretch, maybe in the side body, maybe in a hip flexor, wherever it is, gently tone that space until you do not feel a stretch anymore, where it's at least greatly reduced. Let the breath be wild, let the breath be free, open, there's no control. Let it roll through you, opening the throat, opening the body to the breath of life. And the more you're okay with not being led at every detail, I'll do that later for you. The more you're okay with trying things out like you did when you were a baby, and turn on every fiber, every fiber. Bend your knees, walk your feet in towards your hips. Keep moving, but let the hips come off the floor. That's all I'm going to ask. The hips are off the ground, but you're starting to move. You're continuing to move now in even different ways, now that the legs are bent. And we're pulling. This is the function of a back bend, is part of the human function of pulling, like climbing a tree or leaping over the creek. You're pulling. So pull your feet down and towards you instead of pushing your feet away from you. Use more of the back of the leg than the front of the leg. Now try to roll onto the right shoulder, the right palm towards the ceiling. Pull the whole back of the right arm into the ground and lift the left arm, reach way beyond your head. Turn your head to the right. Pick up the hips higher. Drop the kidneys a little, the low front ribs to the kidneys drop. Okay, let the left shoulder come back down, left arm down by your side. Reach the right arm up and back, rolling onto the back of the left arm, left tricep, left shoulder. Look to the left. I'm just giving you ideas. Just giving you ideas. Now do your own thing. Hips are still up in the air. The more you move, slow everyone, move slowly for now. The more you move, the more you can stay in the relative space because you're exploring the complex movement, making it somehow sustainable and much more medicinal. Try taking one foot off the ground. Hips are still up. And then the other foot. Okay, now gently and slowly bring both feet back down to the ground, the hips coming down. Push the legs back out to where we began. And it's really simple. Feel, don't think, just feel. Allow yourself to observe the back of you, from brain to heels. How there's already a quickening, there's already an enlivenment, an enlivening of your back experience. And maybe with an exhalation now, you can feel more of the back continuity from the occiput to the heels and the soles of the feet. And you're releasing your history from 5 minutes ago or 5 lifetimes ago, I don't know. So the exhalation can flow down the back as a metaphor to remind you of the great grounding channel of your back. You can also exhale down your sides. It's also very releasing, from jaw hinges to little toes. The wider and deeper we are, back and sides, the more we can be present in the body and in every other way. Beautiful, everyone. Bend the knees, walk the feet in towards the hips. Come up to a seat. Sit any way you want to. We always want to be, one of the elements of conscious embodiment is variety. That used to be provided by living in the wild, just moving around on uneven terrain. But here in our perfect floor, you're going to have to share, you're going to have to try to remember some of that variation. So change the way that you're sitting already, do something different. All I did was take my default right leg forward, just more forward. Okay, so it can be super small. Now this is the second key, the second shape that we've seen so far this morning, the shape of sitting. And now your relationship with gravity has shifted. And straight away, find your sits bones and just be aware of how the sits bones contact the ground. And push the sitting bones down into the ground in such a way that the pelvis untucks and leans a little tiny bit forward. And then this is reciprocated by and complemented by the belly hollowing backwards. So that same low belly below the navel that we found on our backs empties towards the sacrum, inviting the breath to the back and sides of the body again, to the fullness of the chest. And if I were to ask you to tone the moment, to engage the moment without expectation, where would you feel that? Change the way that you're sitting, again, but stay in this universal awareness of contact to the ground, the uprightness of the pelvis, the closeness of the belly, the suppleness of the chest and the neck and the cranium. As you lean back against your aspen and gently tone everything, even tone the energy of the mind. What does that even mean, right? It has something to do with being consciously embodied. And within the tone and the resonance of how you're showing up right now, is it possible that you can feel more subtly, more and more subtly to the most subtle, all the way down to the quantum space? Timeless. All the potentialities change the way that you're sitting. Because we're movers. We're movers. We're explorers. If you keep returning very softly to the awareness of the pelvis, a biospatial and energetic relationship, if you can reside more in the belly brain, in the pelvic brain, it's going to help you remain present without control. Keep coming back to your pivot, your fulcrum, your root space. And we're going to do a ton of work this morning in the key of sitting, but before that, let's come up into the key of folding. And so that's just basically bending the knees quite a bit, hinging at the hips. If you know Uttanasana from yoga, it's not straight-legged. Take a wider stance, 18, 20 inches apart. Bend the knees a lot. Look at me. It's more monkey, okay? It's more your monkey. Okay, so you're gonna move very slowly side to side. Now look at your feet with your eyes and make sure the feet are pointed straight ahead for now. The knees pointed straight ahead. So there's tracking of neutral rotation in the hip. Now you're brushing your torso, your spine from sacrum to brain across the sky, side to side or bilaterally. Now close your eyes and truly give your head to gravity and let your head hang. And then go slower and stronger. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, everyone, so we use metaphor to invite awareness. And if you're moving in water, it's going to resist you. How do you do that for yourself? Now, you want to move your head and your spine together. So if you need to know what I'm talking about, look at me for a moment. Try not to do this, where the head is fixed.
Okay, I mean, that's fine. And, or sometimes the pelvis is fixed and you're just moving your head. Okay, move the whole thing like a speed skater across the midline now. Put the palms down, turn the hands out so the thumbs are forward, and push the hands down to take some of the load off the legs. Your legs were already getting tired, they should be, but now we're gonna add and share the weight in the arms, loading the chest, the core. You should feel your belly lifting to the sky. Hang your head again, because the tension, the cultural tension is the fight or flight. It's in the back of the neck, it's in the low back, it's in the pelvic floor. Hang your head, but keep deeply engaging the earth with the hands and the feet and moving side to side. Keep the hands fixed on the floor in front of the feet. Thumbs forward, biceps forward. You could do this for an hour. You're just delaminating all of the complex entanglement of the back of the body. Wow. Anybody feeling this?
Oh, yeah.
Now, dig your fingertips in like a cat. Take more responsibility in the hands, which is to say you're going to subsequently take more responsibility in the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. The neck is soft. Grab on with your toes. Lift the core of the foot. Lift the kidneys to the sky, bowing the head even more between the arms. So everyone, you're going to work harder now, because instead of just moving in water, you're throwing the earth side to side. You're a singular conscious monkey on top of the biggest beach ball you can imagine. And you're throwing the top of the ball playfully side to side, but the earth is heavy. It's heavy, and you're very strong. Are your biceps on? Are the triceps on? Are you turning every fiber of your being on to the point of shaking, to the point of trembling? This is a good sign that you're present. Now, for the last 45 seconds, we're here, and everyone in here knows it's never 45 seconds. Make an orbital movement with your pelvis. So it's a wide elliptical path instead of a straight line side to side. You're going to sweep across the back more deeply or across the front. Change the direction of your orbit at any time. And a reminder to hang your head again, because you're probably looking at the floor. Look right back through the legs. Stronger, more spacious. Oh, this is so good. Okay, now creatively and just as slowly, have a seat. Sit any way you like. I would lay the hands palms up on the legs, and straight away, everyone, push the sits bones down and back, leaning the pelvis slightly anterior front. Then let the belly softly gather itself backwards, chest open, kidneys open, head neutral, and let the elbows hang by your sides. Imagine your collarbones growing like vines from the top of the sternum out to the shoulders and beyond, flowering. Don't think, just watch, just observe, which means feel, experience. Okay, let's sit together with the right leg in front. So you can do this however you need to. It's like if you remember Sukhasana, the shins crossed, or Siddhasana, using the yoga terminology. All right, so what we're going to do is, I'm just calling this many things, but we're going to individuate the pelvis. And one of the ways we can do that is to play with the relationship between anterior, posterior, front, back.
But I want you to see yourself, close your eyes and just listen. Look at yourself from above, looking down on the crown of the head and seeing the sits bones contacting the ground. Let the pelvis rock forward and back. Start with a small range of motion. And I want to, this is very, very important. You don't want to move the pelvis by pushing the belly forward. Don't move the pelvis from above. Move the pelvis from within. So if you know your anatomy at all, you're talking about first turn the glutes on, turn the legs on, but deep inside the pelvis, deep in the posterior of the bowl of the pelvis, okay, iliacus and lower psoas, they are going to bring the pelvis forward into anterior rotation. The buttocks on the back of the pelvis are assisting and synergistically supporting. And this is kind of always on. So whether you're rolling the pelvis back or forward, the glutes and the interior back of the pelvis, this is difficult, everyone. This is like PhD stuff. The iliacus and lower psoas work synergistically with glutes and a lot of other things to tip the pelvis in this anterior posterior rhythm. And you're moving in the mud of the riverbed, so work and resist yourself as you move in greater range of motion now, basically moving front to back, right down the middle. Now continue to see yourself from above and let the pelvis drop all the way back on the midline. You're going to end up looking something like this. Okay? Now watch me for a moment. I want you to imagine on the floor underneath you a W. Okay? It's like a seagull upside down in the ocean breeze. And what you're going to do, watch. I'm going to just come up to neutral, not to the front. I'm going to go to the neutral. I'm going to go back down the middle. I'm going to sweep over to the left, come up on the left side sitting bone, fall back on the left side of the W, come around to the middle, right up the front, not all the way to the front. We'll do that in a little while. Come back down the middle, over to the right, and pulling forward onto the right sitting bone. And then you just keep going. You reverse it. You visit the middle. Go ahead and do this for yourself if you're not already. So you're basically writing a W on the floor as seen from above. And at first, you're going to be like, what am I doing? The mind can really struggle. Because first of all, how cultural is it to cultivate the freedom and liberty of the pelvis? Okay? So try to find over time that you do know how to do this. And let the arms be involved. Like this is an earth dance. Very slow. Very slow. Remember, you come right up the middle every time. Then you visit the other wing. Now remember that you're not moving the pelvis by moving the belly. The belly is following the pelvis, and that is, when you find that, then you're resetting the core polarity. Whoa. Pelvis first. You want to live your life, everyone, pelvis first. Sometimes that will get you in trouble in the wrong context. But you know what? Head first is not working. It's not working out for the human species. So we're talking about cultivating intuition and instinct, pre-mind, pre-intellect. We need both. Now notice the range of motion is increasing for you. Now maybe you're filling out the curve of those gull's wings, the upside down gull, or that W as seen from above. Now, can you strengthen more? Can you turn on the buttocks, the legs, wrap every bone in such a way that the bone feels more spacious? You can get to the point where you're shaking, you're shivering as you're moving. That shivering, remember, helps move micro trauma and micro fear out of your system. Not just post collective fear COVID, but always, every day. Your whole body is moving around the pelvis. pelvis is the center of your solar system here. It is the sun. The third eye is the moon. Don't let the head get fixed in space. You can move and look around as you continue to let the pelvis dance. So we're exploring the posterior realm. This will open your hips in a lasting way more than anything I know of, except maybe doing a lot of squats. Okay, now everyone, let your pelvis come up the middle in time and just sit neutral. What neutral means is you're neither forward nor back or to one side or the other. And notice how neutral is more spacious. It's not a point or a line, but a play space. This artist, Federico Duran, this is amazing stuff. Okay, so now we do the opposite. This one, just so you know, you don't have as much range of motion when you're going into anterior rotation. You're supposed to have much more range to the posterior. So if we create now the seagull or the M underneath us, we're gonna go forward, over to one side. Don't let the belly lead. It's coming from deeper. You drop back on the left wingtip, you move forward again, come to the front, drop back to the body of the gull, if you will, move forward, circle through the front over to the right wing, you know what I mean? So you got to find your shape and your language. I'm just trying to orient us. Tone your movement, and what's really cool is when you tone the movement, you have a greater range of motion because it's functional when you're turned on. Being slack is not functional. So think of a musical instrument, the old proverb, if you tighten the string too much, it will snap. If it's too slack, it won't play. This is everywhere in the body, everywhere in your life. Slower, stronger. Try to get to the engagement point of trembling. This is informing your system rapidly. Another way of seeing the trembling, everyone, beyond the engagement, is that the trembling is a high velocity reflection within slow movement. It's contrast. It's electrical, but it also is very sweet. That trembling is throughout life. Just a few more rounds and then we're going to put it all together. So now catch yourself leading the pelvis with the belly. It's hilarious. It looks like this. It's like, I got this. You know, don't do that. Okay, that's egoic, that's diaphragmatic, that's top down. Bottom up is much more subtle in the pelvis. It's going to take a while. Moving from the diaphragm is not your fault. It's a cultural thing, it's a collective thing. Reverse it. It's amazing. Good. Now, come to stillness. In the middle, somewhere in the middle, and now there's more room, even more room in the middle. Bless you. A spacious midline, mid-space. Feel the pelvic floor much more expansive and somehow very light, very buoyant. We're going to switch the way the legs are crossed. Left leg in front. And now what we're going to do is just basically make an infinity loop on the floor. Okay, so you can start in the middle. I would drop back, maybe scoop over to the left side, pull all the way to the front on the left, come across the front to the middle, drop back down the middle, scoop across the back to the right. I mean, choose your rotation and make a figure eight. Try not to lead with the belly. One of the most healing things that I know is when the belly begins to listen to the pelvis again. And the pelvis is listening to source. Cool thing about the infinity is you change direction anytime you want. Oh. And it's very normal, everyone, for you to find spots that are less available to you. There's little bumps in the road. It's not this smooth, symmetrical figure eight. I wanted to get back into this morning because we don't do it enough, and it's one of the most healing things you can do. For hips, sacral plexus, lower back, and so much more. Healing the gut even. It's microbiotic. Just one more pass through your figure eight, pelvis first. Head is soft, neck is soft. So we'll take your hula hooping to a whole new level. Good, everyone. Fantastic. Now what we're going to do is come up to the key of squatting. Now, squatting looks in many different ways. It looks like many things. The more accessible is going to be asymmetrical, 1 foot leading. Okay. Now the hands are on the floor for balance. You can use knuckles. You can use the back of the hand. You can use anything you want. But the symmetrical, now, 2 things. You hear this in every class because it's really important. Knees are culturally troubled. What you want to do is point the foot and the thigh above it in the same direction all the time. Don't get into this kind of thing like this. This is terrible for the meniscus, for the knee in general. Point the thigh and the foot below it in the same direction no matter what you're doing. Also, number 2, grab onto the floor with your feet. This is why a mat won't work for you so well, because you're gonna, when you pivot like this, you're gonna tear your toes off. Not really, but just careful on the mat, okay? Grab onto the ground with your toes. This means the feet are more active, and that's more responsible in the ankle and knee and in the hip. Put your hands on the earth. I'm not going to tell you what to do here. Just explore the squat. If you're symmetrical, it means both legs are doing the same thing, more or less. They can be forward, they can turn out. But again, the feet and the knees point in the same direction relative to each other. It is the movement within the shape that brings the healing. So even if it's the slowest rocking forward and back like this, you know, your pulsation, your dance, your rhythm in the key of squatting is all that micro scrubbing of old karmic patterns, distilling from those patterns the truth, the sustainability, the healing. And then you get into these strange situations like this, which just feel amazing. So everyone try this. Just in the moment. Squat on your left leg, take your right leg out to the side. We usually call this a side squat. Take your right hand, turn it around and bring it under the hamstrings, way underneath. Now roll that right shoulder on your back. Look at me. Roll the right shoulder on your back and then just lean back on that hand. Don't let the sits bones touch the floor quite. Just stay there. Now rock side to side in this. I've never done this before. This is happening right now. The right leg is not straight. It's not straight. Bend the right knee. Tone the whole thing. You're a cat, not a plate of Jell-O. Look how cool. Look at this. What the heck are we doing? Don't do this. This is no. Pull the right shoulder. Good. Now lift up. Switch over to the right side or bring the right foot in. Squat on the right. Slide your left leg out. Slide your left hand underneath the left knee, left hamstrings. Bend the elbow a little. Roll the left shoulder back. And then see if you can drop down onto the right heel. The hips are off the floor. Now move side to side. And notice how different one side can be from the other. Bend the right elbow by toning the left bend the left elbow by toning the left bicep. Pull the left shoulder back. Good. Now lift up, slide the left foot in. Lift the hips into the key of folding again, but this time, everyone, drop your right leg back and across the midline. Bend the knees,
And now move the upper body however you like over the legs. Mostly you'll move diagonally between the feet. Left leg is in front, crossing the midline. Shifting your weight front to back diagonally is pretty much a great beginning. Bend the knees more, put the hands down, hang the head, soften the eyes, and allow for the breath to move through you. Tone everything, not just the legs. By moving the earth, you'll catch the meaning of the tone. Now, to switch sides, keep your feet and turn, walk your hands around to the right, pivoting, don't hold your breath. Go more than 180 until you've crossed the right leg over the left. We call that just simply pivoting. It's a navigation. And moving now, right crossing left. We're crossing while we're folding. Tone the stretch. Where you feel the stretch, please engage. Oh man, this is so good. Breathe, put the palms down, push into the floor so the legs can last longer. And then turn just halfway out to your left until the feet are parallel, hanging down into your fold again with a wider stance. Very softly, move side to side. Let's keep the feet parallel for now, knees tracking forward, everybody, almost pigeon toeing. Move the planet side to side. Now, as you go over to one side, you're going to turn your head in that direction. So when your hips and spine are to the right, look to the right. When your hips and spine move left, look to your left. Soften the neck. Open the senses, engage the body. Push the hands into the floor. Powerfully. Okay, and then turn, quarter turn to your left, and just have a seat. So this is new. Sit with the right leg in front again. And imagine you're just going to wrap your arms around a beach ball. And just make sure the fingertips touch. Now let me show. What we're going to do is kind of roll a tricep into one knee, but then watch, I'm going to roll through the front and just touch the hands to the floor and roll around that circumference over to the left. Okay, so let's just start with this. Basically, you never come all the way up in this little cycle anyway. You're going to keep a tricep against the knee. Now where you feel the stretch, side belly, on the back, QL, hips. Maybe you're stretching your brain. I hope you're stretching your brain. Tone the stretch to the point of no stretch. That means turn the buttocks on, generally. Stronger belly. Now notice that the ball stays the same shape, but now you're starting to roll more around that ball. Now when you roll over one knee, I want you to look down towards that knee and empty your eyes like this. Okay, and you roll across the backs of the fingers, pressing into the floor, and look down over the other knee. Stronger belly. A stronger belly means a closer belly, closer to the spine, everybody. And now it progresses to this, and you lean to one side. You're going to reach up, you're going to look down, but you're going to reach that sky arm up and back, make a fist, then bring it right back down, wrap around the ball, roll through the middle to the other side, reach the sky arm up, look down, strong through every fiber of your being. Keep going. It's not a twist of the low back. It's a neck and head and shoulders thing. Pulling the shoulder blades together as you reach up means the tricep that's down pulls against the leg. Breathe. Breathe your feet. Breathe everything. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Good. One more time each side. Working hard. You're strengthening, okay? Finishing up whatever round you're on. And coming up to a seat. Take the left leg in front. And here we go. So lean to your left, put a hand down. Now, very careful. So this is as important as the knees and feet in squatting is the elbow is into the side body. Okay, the shoulder is pulled back and down, the belly's strong. Lean in just a bit, get a feel for it. Push back out and go over to the other side. Left leg is in front the whole time. Now the hips are meant to rock, you're rocking the boat. So the hip you're leaning away from is gonna come off the ground. And that's normal. Tone the stretch. It's gonna be the skyward belly. That's where you're gonna probably feel it, the same side hip. Once again, turn the buttocks on and it'll help you find the tone of the side belly. I don't know if you know this, but your buttocks are very, very special. They're very multi-talented. They do so many things often at once. Now, as your range of motion increases, you may feel the need to use your free hand to assist a deeper plunge, but if you have the strength, your shoulders are healthy, then you can touch the temple to the ground or the forehead to the ground. Go all the way in on one side. Keep the elbow next to you, and at all costs, everyone, keep the shoulder head away from the ground. It's really important. Also, try not to put too much weight on the little finger side of the wrist. Keep it on the index and thumb. I talk about these things a lot because they're common patterns. Now, touch the forehead to the ground. Keep the shoulder head away from the ground. Just a few more, okay? A few more. Breathe. Let the breath get to the places where you feel it the most. Breathing locally. So if the neck is tightening, your shoulders are in jeopardy, loosen the neck, you're going to be fine. Oversimplifying, of course. Good, everyone. Now, lay down on your back. Come back up to a seat.
Oh.
Watch. Come back up to a seat. Take your left hand, slide it along the floor outside your left knee. Look. Lay down. Go ahead. Then come back up to a seat. Take your right leg in front. This is a human movement. Take your right arm, slide it along the right thigh, tricep down, roll into the floor without bonking. Now you can stay on your back. Oh, it sounds good in here this morning. Sounds really good. Open the fabric of the throat, especially the back of the throat, and then find that widening the back of the throat to trickle down and open the back of the heart. And the space between the kidneys below that, opening up pancreas, resting the pancreatic space. Open up each of the lumbar vertebrae wider, and then widen the sacrum and the tail, the backs of the legs, backs of the heels, soles of the feet, and then spread out the back of the brain and the cranium. When we rest consciously, it is a practice of allowance. Life is engaged allowance. You can sort that out for yourself. Nice, everybody. So you know I love core work, right? So take your legs up into the sky. Take the arms up into the sky, the palms facing the ceiling. Bend the knees a little and drop your sits bones towards the floor, making the lumbar spine more soft and lengthy on the ground. Now take your legs 40, 50 degrees to your right and the upper body 60, 70 degrees to your left. Now push the right hand like Iron Man. Push the left heel beyond the right heel. And now lift the head and chest off the floor. Bring your left knee to your right elbow and smile. Okay, and then reverse this. So unscissor the legs, take the legs to the left, the upper body to the right. Bring the right knee to the left elbow, but look at the floor past the right shoulder. Good, now go back and forth very slowly. Twisting in the core. Looking down at the extreme, looking down over the shoulder that your head is over. Okay, so go back and forth, back and forth. It's the movement we want, not the hold. Holding is fine briefly. It's the movement. Now you start dropping the leg that is opposite your head. That's going to be, so if you're looking to your right, it's your left leg. You're going to drop that leg towards the floor, scissoring the legs. Then you lift the leg back up, cross over the midline again. The leg you're looking away from, if you're looking left, it's your right leg. That heel comes down and just kisses the floor. Several more here. As you feel the fire building in the belly, invite the low band of the belly to zoom closer to the floor, closer to the sacrum. Breathe, everybody. Like the whole body's breathing, not just the schnoz. Does everybody know what the schnoz is? Oh, just keep going, keep going. Like, how do we, so here's how you can keep going. Don't stop. Lay your head down gently. Keep doing the movement. Just now the head rests on the floor. And you're rolling. Keep working. Take the midline leg closer to your head. Yeah. Good, everyone. Now, slowly release. Put the feet on the floor. Press the legs out. Here's a cool little thing. Invite that fiery belly to be absorbed into the sacrum, into the deep pelvic cradle, into the deep body. Invite the warmth of the sun into your bones. Let the kidneys drop, lay them down. Beautiful. Look at the release in the hips. Do the legs turn out so freely? You're releasing residual tension from the hips, from the deep belly. Lay the kidneys down. Lay the heart and the lungs down. Lay everything down. Let it breathe, pulsating, resonating, beautiful. And then we're going to come up to a seat. Take your time. Take your time. So the cool thing about the core is it's not just your belly, it's all the way around you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go from some kind of reverse plank, and it starts to move, right? You're going to sort of spin up into side, like a Vasisthasana. Do your thing, don't just watch me. Go ahead. And the creativity, it's not in how it looks, it's in answering the question perpetually of what can become, what can happen. As long as your hips are off the floor and you're moving from a range from side body to back body, anything goes. Yeah. Make some excellent facial expressions. You've already got the sounds.
you gotta bend your knees. If you're locked knees, you're gonna put a lot of strain on the hamstrings until they're strong enough. Shoulders and hips, everybody. Okay, now face down plank. Turn your hands out. Bring your right knee to your left elbow. Then bring your right knee to your right elbow, and then go back to plank. Bring your left knee to your right elbow. Bring your left knee to your left elbow. Go back to plank. Got it? Now do more. Because I don't want to talk right now. Breathe. Move slower, slower. Hips lower. Go strong. Take responsibility for your life. Turn everything on. Try it with a wider stance. You'll know when you're done. It's all good. Beautiful. Nice breath. Breathe your kidneys. You'll last longer. Turn your buttocks on and your eyebrows off. I don't think I've ever said that before. Good, everyone. Now sit down. Sometimes when we step into the fire, and we've done it semi-consciously, and it gets really edgy, we'll come out and we go into survival mode, like, oh my God, I survived that. But what if, right now, as you feel this natural, for lack of a better word, this state of being pumped, totally on, what if you just allow for it? What if you just observe? Let the breath roll through you like the wind through the trees on the mountain. It's the water through the river. Let it happen. Giving the space for the heart, the shamanic drum of the heart, to thunder. Make space for it. Hold space for yourself. Feel the deep saturation of the tissue and somehow the deep spaciousness of the bones. All right, everyone, so let's get into our final sequence. We're gonna start sitting with the right leg in front. I'm gonna move a little bit forward so you guys have more room. Just sit with the right leg in front. And just orienting in the room however you are, the cues are the same. Lean back on your left hand. Now watch, I'm gonna set my front leg, I'm gonna push. Now you can use your right hand for assistance, going as far as you're safe. Then come back up. Still the right leg is in front. Now watch, I'm gonna fold just inside that right knee, and I'm gonna turn and just kind of kiss the knee. Stay there for a moment. Tone the left buttocks backwards and to the left. Like you're reaching your left sitting bone back and to the left. Good. Now as you come back up, set your left hand again like you did the first time, but catch your right foot. And as you lean back on the left hand, fly the right leg out to the right any way you want to. Pull on the leg and push the leg into the hand. And then take your right foot and bring it down outside your left knee. Pop up into a crouch, right leg leading. Moving within the crouch. And this is another shape we acknowledge. It's an asymmetrical stance, the key of crouching. If you're moving within the shape and exploring, then that's all you got to do. Slower and stronger, more articulate. Now turn around to your left 180 degrees like you're going to do the other side, but go ahead and lengthen the stance into another shape we acknowledge called a lunge. But the lunge is moving. Now, a quarter turn to your right to wide-legged fold. Stay here for a moment, hands down, and move side to side in this, and let the footwork happen, which just means that the feet are not stuck to the ground, that as you move bilaterally,
is that slow dance, lifting a heel, turning one hip, lifting the ball of the foot, turning the head. And then what I want everybody to do is walk your hands over to the left foot, swing your right leg way back and across the midline into a crossing lunge, which means both feet are crossing the midline, and you're moving. You won't move as much as the other shapes, but see what you can do. Now slowly turn to your right, 90 or more degrees, and drop into a left side squat, a side squat, right leg out to your right like this. Now turn towards your right leg and take your right hand outside the right leg. Put that right hand down, lean onto the right, so everyone, your right leg is out to the side. You're now facing it. Right hand outside, and we're going to drop the hip, or not, and push. Now, come back up. Take both hands behind you. Hips off the floor, cross your right knee over your left. Watch me for a moment. You're going to spin to your left. Watch this. My left foot trails, and end up crossing in a fold. Okay? Doesn't matter how you get here. I mean, it kind of does. Just have your right leg crossing your left. Now move around and then go slower. Bow the head. Bow the head. The sweet back of the neck is long. Go slow. I'm sorry about this, but you're going to have to look at me. Watch. Watch. Wrap the left leg around. Turn and sit. And your left leg is in front. Just sit down with your left leg in the front. And you may be experiencing disorientation or being a little drunk. This is normal when our awareness is so diverse in movement that it's far outside the norm of our daily range. That's why it's so good. Now give it time. Just give it time. Relax the residual momentum. The quicker we return to the midline, mid-space, which is a choice, the more proficiently we can release things that have already come to pass. So this thing starts with the left leg in front. We're going to set the right hand behind. You can set your left leg, push into the right. You're leaning back into the right. Use your free hand if you need to. Take care of your shoulders. Maybe touch the forehead. Then push, come back up. And then with no arms, just trail the arms. You're going to dive just inside the left knee. And just kiss the knee, like literally. Thank your knee. Yum. And then come on up, set your right hand behind you again, catch your left foot. As you lean back on the right arm a bit, fly the left leg out to your left and up, and pull on the leg. Push the foot into the hand. Strong everywhere, breathe. And then look to your right, bring that left foot down outside your right knee. Pop up into a crouch, left leg in front. It's a fun little transition. Your hands on the ground, move forward and back, left leg is needed. Anything else that you can find, any variations, is a good thing. So good. And then we're going to turn around to our right 180 degrees and lengthen. As the right leg emerges in front, slide the left leg back into the shape of a lunge. Moving in the lunge, there's two ways primarily that you do that. It's to move forward and back, but also in the lunge, taking the hips really high, really low, without touching the back knee too often. Turning the hips independently, it's another big variation. Now turn a quarter turn to your left, so that you're basically like in yoga, you would be like in a Padottanasana. Moving side to side, hands down. Letting the feet dance slow, everyone. Slow it down and breathe. Strengthen. Change your viscosity to something more present. Now shift your weight over to the right leg. Take the left leg back and across the midline. Slide that left leg further back and crossing the midline in a lunge, right leg forward. And see what you can find here. A lot of the variation is just in taking care of your joints. Like, how do you manage this predicament until it's not a predicament? Now, turn to your left, dropping onto the right leg in a squat. Left leg out to the side, a side squat. Now look towards your left leg, everyone. Take both hands outside the left leg, mostly the left hand, and dropping into a roll push on the left. Keep that left shoulder away from the ground. Come back up. Good. Now as we come up, we take both hands to the floor behind us. Wrap your left knee over your right knee. Now this is the trick. Keep your knees glued together. Pivot to your right. Put the left foot down. Turn towards the floor. Take the right foot off. You end up in a cross fold, a cross crouch. Left leg in front over the midline. And move. Now if you're not catching all the transitions, this is totally normal. Just find these highlights. Left leg crossing the right in the fold. Move easy. Move easy. Slow it down, release residual tension. We're all about being self-balancing organic creatures. Self-balancing. Now, wrap your back leg around the front of the left leg. Turn to your left and sit down. Right leg wraps in front. If you think this is hard to follow, you should try teaching it. So we're going to sit for a moment. We'll go through the whole sequence one more time and then we'll rest. Happy Saturday. Just stay right here. Now, if you find yourself rocking a little bit, maybe front to back or orbitally or side to side, this is a very good thing. It's another way to make sure that you're aware of your inner space, your outer space. Please don't think it an ideal to sit completely still for very long. We're movers, not posers. And stillness within movement, that's nature. Every atom of every element vibrating intensely at different frequencies. And yet you have the stone. Here we go, right leg in front, everyone. So we're gonna lean back to the left, use one or two hands, push in, take care of yourself, have a happy face. Come on up. And then hands free, trail your arms and dive in just inside the right knee. Why does this feel so good? Good, now come back up and lean back on your left hand again. Catch your right foot. Lean on the left hand, but fly the right leg up and to the right. Try looking down, pull on the leg, push the leg into the hand, equal to each other. Then set your right foot down outside your left knee. Lift up into a crouch. Right leg lean. And as bipeds, when we get onto the powerful legs, generally it feels pretty good. It's like, okay, we're folding and crouching, moving, playing, toning. Turn around to your left 180. This is going to open up into the shape of a lunge. Left leg lean. A quarter turn to your right, wide legs, folding, moving side to side briefly. Move over to your right, and then you're going to swing the body to the left. Cross your right leg back and to the left, left leg leading in a lunge, but you're crossing the feet over the midline. If you're not used to this, it's like, what is happening? Put your hands down, move around. try something else with your head. Good. Now everyone turn to your right, pivot on the left leg. You're squatting on the left leg as you turn. Right leg is out to your side in a side squat. Now take both hands, or at least the right hand, outside the right leg. You can drop your right hip down or not. Push in. Pull the shoulder head away from the ground. Then come up. Take your left hand behind you. Cross your right knee over your left. Keep turning to your left. Keep the knees stuck together. You're going to end up folding with the right leg crossing in front, left leg crossing in back. And move. If the back of the neck feels hot, let the back of the head release off the shoulder blades. A cool river stone resting the base of the skull towards the earth, cooling off the brainstem and the eyes. Woo. Now to come out of this, slide your hands forward, wrap your left leg around in front of your right leg, turn to your right and sit down. Your left leg will end up in front. Wow.
So let's finish through the other side and then we'll rest together, everyone. Left leg is in front. We're going to lean back and to the right. Pushing. Use two hands if necessary. Take care of yourself. We need to be stronger. Push back up. Trail the arms. Lean inside the left knee.
The right side of the forehead on the ground. Chin or lips against the left knee maybe. Strengthen the stretch. Come back up.
Set your right hand behind you again. Catch your left foot.
Lean on the right arm. That elbow comes into the body and fly your left leg to the left. Pull on the foot powerfully and push the foot into the hand, trembling. Look down to your right. Bring the left foot where your eyes are. Lift up into a crouch. Left leg leading. Conscious, wild. Turn around to your right, 180. Lengthen into the shape of a lunge. Right leg is in front. This class really could be called Where the Wild Things Are. Cultivate this memory in your system. All of the space and time of evolution. Turn a quarter turn to your left to wide legs. Moving side to side slowly. Toning here at the end can be challenging. So we're going to slide over to the right side of this, take the left leg back and across the midline and push the left leg back more to a crossing lunge. Right is in front. If you simply, so everyone take your right arm inside the right knee. Okay? Hands turned out and rock side to side. If you just did this, it would be enough. Rock side to side. Now turn to your left, onto the right leg in a side squat, left leg out to the side. Remember to keep the left knee a little bit bent, a little bit coiled, the hamstring strong. Look to the left of the left leg. Roll left, push left, careful. Come back up, take the right hand behind you, cross the left knee over the right knee. Now turn to your right, put the left foot down. Both hands down, the right foot crosses behind you and move. Now, wrap the right foot around in front of the left. Turn to your left, 180, and sit right leg in front. And lay down. Once again, push the heels downstream and let the back of the head release upstream.
And it can take a little while. Don't be surprised. It takes a little time and a lot of awareness to drop all the way in. Get underneath you. get all the way underneath you, and with your breath, spread the ground with the inhale and the exhale. There will be residual tension. We all have patterns of holding. Drop the diaphragm. Don't pull it down. Drop the low rib basket to the earth. Here's something to play with, my friends. The flesh of the inner thighs is like another pair of lungs. Breathe the inner thighs as deeply as the lungs themselves. And near the end of your exhalation, large, smooth, cool river stone resting on the belly below the navel. First, just bring some sense of quietude to the stone. So the low belly is not pumping up and down as much, but the rest of you is. So just rest your awareness, the river stone below the navel, as a point of stillness, reflecting a lot of space to the sacrum. And this demands that the rest of the wild body open up to the breath where it tends not to. Breathe wide. It's allowance, not control. If you just allow the tail to widen, it will change your cranium. as the mind begins to be comfortable and flow in its thought stream, there is still part of you could call discernment that is able to stay fully embodied and present while the thoughts wander and explore. It's natural. And can you experience both simultaneously? Keep coming back to the sacrum, coming back to the deepest belly, and let go of everything else. Take your time, brothers and sisters, in a very conscious transition from where you are back up to the shape of sitting. Let it be a dance, just as we have enjoyed all of this practice, and hopefully it will continue throughout your day. Sitting comfortably. Once again, reference the contact with the ground through the base of the pelvis. Sit upright by pushing the sits bones down. Gather the belly close and soft to the spine. Spread your being, leaning against the aspen. I am so deeply grateful every single time I get to share this with curious monkeys. Thanks for sharing your time and space on your Saturday, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Many blessings. Deepest gratitude. See you soon. Take your time, especially if you're about to drive a car. You're so welcome. So welcome.